We are living in truly incredible times, a time when we are meant to completely unravel our true history and this moment in time that we find ourselves in on this beautiful planet, and to unravel the mysteries of the universe, blending spiritual science or quantum physics, which is the new name, with spirituality. I believe we're all on a mission of remembering and then to extend the understanding around the workings of our universe, which can only be achieved through doing a deep dive into the ancient temple science, which was kept alive through various ascension keepers on subsequent timelines, from the Knights Templars, the Cathars, the Essenes, and more recently the Rosicrucians, with Rudolf Steiner playing a massive part in extending this wisdom on our very own timeline. As I've said, I believe that our mission is to unravel the mysteries even further and to extend what was already known. And my extension to this is that knowingness of us all being part of a galactic community. And I clearly wrote my soul contract before I came back here for this incarnation in a way that I would be gifted many incredible galactic experiences, which would give me the confidence to speak freely about who we really are and how we can participate in an incredibly powerful way in the creation story of our new earth. My name is Jan Marie, and I am sharing my experiences with you now as I am under a very strong galactic impulse to do so, because my experiences with our galactic family have seemed to be very, very different to those of others. My experiences have always been extremely positive and in some cases life-saving. And in a very real sense, I feel like I live here on this planet in partnership with my galactic self and my Operation Earth Mission Galactic team. Perhaps by me sharing my stories, I will open up channels of energy of possibility within others, particularly in terms of how we can work very, very powerful with our galactic family to the benefit of humanity and our beautiful planet. My galactic team have shown me that it is very important that the very nature of how we can work with our galactic family becomes better known. And specifically, they have shown me time and again that the scope of these missions are unlimited. But they can only work with us when we give them permission. And that's really important to understand. So what you're observing here on this introductory video is just a few shots of experiences I have had with our galactic family, gifted to myself by design to add credibility to my stories and experiences. I consider myself to be a galactic truther and warrior of the shadow and the light, and have openly identified as this for over a decade on my social media posts, although my ET experiences go back at least to when I was 17 years old. For those of you who are not familiar with me or my work, I have been actively involved in the mission of disclosure for 15 years, coming in from the very beginning with the gift of the bigger picture and the lens of us all being part of a galactic family, whether we are aware of this or not. I stand in the energy of being a cosmic ambassador for universal peace, knowing that this peace must be fought for. We are in a battle of the children of the light versus the children of the dark, and fully embracing and owning our mission is part of what we are being asked to do this incarnation. In doing so, and in fully owning our mission, we light the path of potentiality for others. As a galactic truther and a warrior of the shadow and light, my light-bearing mission has taken me all around the world amid incredible miracles and synchronicities. The stuff that you actually cannot make up. And these missions always came with a knowingness that my energetic signature was required on a specific grid point at specific moments in time. I intuitively knew not to get caught up in any human story as to how my energy signature may be being used on any given grid point at any point in time. I was always shown aspects of this energetic work, such as standing on a specific grid point in earlier incarnations and committing to return to this grid point at this cosmic moment in time. But outside of the inklings I was given, I intuitively knew that any story I may conjure up could fall short of what was truly happening at the unseen energetic level, and that such a story may actually limit the purpose of the mission. My memories of earlier incarnations during our current Earth cycle and in Atlantis during the previous end of cycle times opened up in divine timing on my journey. And specifically, I remember being on board a galactic ship and looking down upon great bodies of water creating carnage on this beautiful planet with deep sadness in my heart. I had always had dreams of huge waves and masses of water covering land and buildings, and only once I remembered my end of cycle experience did this reoccurring dream subside. Our memories awaken in really interesting ways, so it makes complete sense that I would return here at this end of cycle time, awaken to the memories and to my current incarnation mission, and add my energy towards what will be a different outcome for humanity this end of cycle for those that choose this. The extent of the success of this mission is still being decided, and we are the ones deciding it. The outcome is dependent on each and every one of us, as we're all participating in co-creating it, whether we're doing this consciously or unconsciously. I scripted my journey in a way that I would remember my Sirian and Arcturian lineage, and also to remember that I'm part of a galactic mission alongside this 3D incarnation. To clarify, my day-to-day living and action is fully grounded in this 3D plane. Nevertheless, as and when necessary, I can access the intelligence on board my mission ship, communicate with my galactic brothers and sisters, and review the current status of the Earth mission from a perspective of the measure of light on the planet. They have always shown me this by showing me a series of globes of the planet, each one showing the incremental increase of light. A very powerful way of painting the picture. My experience with my galactic team has also included my ability to call them in for assistance when required in extreme situations. An example of this was when I broke my shoulder in two places on top of Mount Ruapehu and had to be tobogganed down without any meds. Not pretty. But I asked my galactic team to hold my consciousness on board while I made this very, very bumpy trip down the mountain. Of course, I had to participate in this experience, and it took a lot of concentration. Nevertheless, it would have been much, much more difficult without the support from my cosmic family. This experience will make more sense to you as I unfold a little bit more of my story. So I had written into my mission plan that I would have many galactic contact experiences to help me to reawaken to who I really am and to my mission. And as I've said, the first of these that I am consciously aware of was when I was about 17 years old. Note that number. Many of these contact experiences have happened in the presence of others and have resulted in incredible photos graphically proving the experience. So when I was 17, I had a near-death experience which led to my first major spiritual, I would say galactic activation. Though I knew from 11 years old, with the tragic passing of a 16-year-old brother, that I didn't believe in death as per the inverted matrix program, and documented this as at 11 years old as my truth. So when I was 17, we were on a trip up the coast when, out of the blue, a powerful voice came from above and instructed me to put on my seatbelt. This was something which was not required at the time, and it was certainly something that I never did. But this voice was so authoritative that it was not going to be argued with, and I didn't hesitate to do what I was told. So firstly, I leant across the driver and put on her seatbelt. That was a miracle in itself. And then I put on my own seatbelt. We were subsequently involved in a head-on collision on a one-lane bridge with both cars speeding in rainy, wet conditions. Ours was the much smaller car, so you can imagine the carnage. There were many miracles that day, but I'm just going to focus in on the galactic ones. But according to police on the scene, we would have, without question, died on that bridge had we not had our seatbelts on. This near-death experience led me to my first major experience of knowingly being on board a galactic ship, although I would rationalize this in a 3D way for many years to come. I remember the experience with absolute clarity. I would tell the story for years of being removed from the vehicle, walking off the bridge and being taken to a house nearby where I was laid on a bed and had my near-death experience. When I shared the story, I would always add they should never have moved me. The shock of that could have killed me. I rose above the bed and watched people working on my body. In that moment, I was aware of making a choice as to whether to stay in the 3D experience or to leave. It was some 30 years later, after trying to find the house that I thought I had been taken to, that my brother, who was first on the scene of the accident and was holding my hand throughout, told me there was no house, that I never walked off the bridge, and that in fact I went straight from the car to a stretcher and to the ambulance. Everything clicked into place upon being told this. The true memory of the experience activated, and the understanding I had rationalized the experience in a 3D way that I, as a 17-year-old, could understand. At the time, I wondered where all these people came from. They were silent in their work, and they were all in light clothing. And I now know that I went on board my mission ship in what I feel was the fifth dimension, and rose above that dimension to another higher dimension in which my choice point moment to stay in the 3D experience was made with what I feel was my Arcturian oversight. When I chose to continue this experience, I came back down to my body on the ship first, and then back down to the car where I was aware of my hand being swapped from my brother's to that of the ambulance doctor. I now understand my galactic codes were activated at that time, and also that my galactic family had stabilized my energy after I had made my choice to return. And life would never be quite the same again. In a profound way, this experience taught me to listen to these downloads that came in so powerfully, and at the same time to listen to my inner knowing. Though to be fair, in this instance it did not feel like a download, it felt like an audible big booming voice coming through to the 3D level, which was not going to be argued with. From this time onwards, I've always felt protected, something which has challenged my family as I've knowingly put myself in dangerous situations when called to do so. And I would never fully understand this feeling of protection until being on retreat with Dr. Stephen Greer and learning of his Arcturian galactic protection. Since this galactic activation many years ago, I've been gifted many very significant and profound experiences with our galactic family, including visitations of fully manifested extraterrestrial vehicles, communications with the beings on board, and visitations on board my galactic mission ship. Sometimes I have participated in meetings, both giving and receiving feedback, but I've never felt the impulse to share the content of these meetings. They felt more like very personal experiences to keep me on mission. As I've said, my galactic light warrior work has taken me all around the world to specific grid points upon which I give permission to my galactic team to use my column of light for whatever purpose is necessary, and certainly for the purpose of stabilization and grounding the codes of peace. But beyond that, I leave the script unwritten, not willing to limit the potentialities of how my energetic signature could be used at any given point in time. The Galactics do this through us becoming a step-down transformer to ground this light and codes. This is just one of many, many stories. Every photo you have seen on this video has a story in and of itself, and I will speak to more of my experiences in the future. So if you would like to hear those, please subscribe, and we will connect again soon. Until then, infinite love, light, gratitude, and freedom.